And then I got hit with a drink. I'm still convinced ain't no punch me. Somebody said, Rose tried to punch you. He hit you. I say, nah. He had to throw a drink, because throwing a drink would have been way more disrespectful than screaming, "Hello, MMA!"
A wild new fight clip just hit the internet, and it's got fans buzzing like crazy. People think it shows some of Drake's crew throwing hands with Kendrick Lamar's team. And it all went down right after Kendrick lit up Toronto by performing Not Like Us, right in Drake's own backyard. This footage has the entire city of Toronto in an uproar. They like us, they not like us. That line hit different now, and fans are choosing sides fast. Let's break it down, and why this might be the moment where the beef went too far. Kendrick didn't just perform, he crashed Drake's territory with zero fear. Picture this. You're the top dog in your own city. Your name rings out on every street, your tracks blast through every barbershop and car stereo, and the people, they ride for you, no questions asked. Now imagine your biggest rival, someone who's been firing shots at you, pulls up right into your city and clowns you in front of your people. Straight disrespect. That's exactly what Kendrick did when he stepped foot in Toronto and delivered what fans are calling one of the most savage, career-shaking performances in battle rap history. It all went down on June 12th, 2025, at the Rogers Center. Yeah, that Rogers Center. And here's the twist. Drake has never headlined a full solo show at that venue. Let that sink in. Kendrick took over a stage the so-called King of Toronto has never even touched. This wasn't just a performance. It was a straight-up power move. This wasn't just some rapper performing in enemy territory. This was Kendrick planting a flag in land the so-called owner never even set foot on. That's not just bold. That's cold-blooded strategy, like next-level chess. But yo, this is where things went off the rails. The crowd reaction, insane. Fans gave Kendrick a straight-up 2-minute standing ovation after he dropped Not Like Us, the same track that shredded Drake's rep into pieces. And don't get it twisted, this wasn't no polite applause or confused claps from tourists. Nah. These were real Toronto locals, folks who are supposed to be Drake's ride or dies. And they were losing it for a diss track aimed right at their own hometown superstar. That's wild. Kendrick had the whole place vibing to lyrics that basically clowned Drake from head to toe, and they loved it. Imagine the level of skill and presence it takes to step into someone else's city and get their own fans to scream back the lyrics to a diss aimed at their number one guy. That ain't just rap, that's domination. Social media exploded with clips and reactions. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. Fans inside the stadium were posting like, "Did Toronto just cheer for Kendrick to cook Drake live?" Some even said the crowd was begging for an encore of the same track that dissed Drake. This wasn't a concert. It was a lyrical execution, and the crowd was riding for the one holding the mic, not the one getting burned. Then things hit a whole new level. Videos started flying around online, showing what looked like a scuffle that turned into an all-out brawl. Fans believe it shows Drake's crew clashing with Kendrick's people, possibly backstage or just outside the venue. But before we break down that footage, let's rewind the clock and see how this all really started. This beef ain't new. It kicked off all the way back in 2013 when Kendrick dropped that legendary verse on Big Sean's Control and called out Drake by name, along with a whole list of top-tier rappers. When Kendrick called it friendly competition, he wasn't trying to play nice. He was throwing down the gauntlet and daring every rapper to either level up or get left in the dust. But this wasn't your typical back-and-forth rap beef. Nah. This was generational warfare, years in the making. The real eruption came in 2024 when Kendrick jumped on Future and Metro Boomin's Like That and dropped a line that hit the whole game like a slap. Forget the big three, it's just Big Him now. That bar shook the culture. Kendrick wasn't out here playing tag, he was snatching crowns. He told Drake and J. Cole straight up they could keep that friendship bracelet vibe. Kendrick was moving solo and aiming for the throne. What came next? A wildfire diss tracks all through 2024. And the one that caused a total meltdown, Not Like Us. That track wasn't just smoke, it was an airstrike. Kendrick didn't hold back, throwing serious accusations that had people questioning everything about Drake's image. This wasn't just lyrical jabs. This was character takedown with surgical aim. Then came the infamous night in Toronto, Thousands packed into the Rogers Center. Fans were rocking OVO gear, some probably had Drake's face inked on their skin. And still, they sang every single word of Not Like Us like it was their anthem. The irony. Heavy. Like you had people hoping for a surprise Drake appearance at a show where Kendrick was going full savage mode on him. And here's what made it even crazier. Drake's own die-hard fans, his loyal day ones, the ones wearing his merch and repping his brand, still pulled up to support Kendrick.
Hey man, I'm thinking about the event that happened over there. Let me tell you something. When the first dude stepped up to Rose, the little short fat one that looked like Bam Bam Bigelow from wrestling, when he stepped up, and then I squat down in his eyes and told him what I said. Basically, boy, if I hit you, I'm gonna see everything you ate for the last 2 days. His balls dropped out of his. He never said another word.
After the most brutal lyrical battle in years, folks weren't turning away. They were right there, front row, nodding along with the man who just flipped Drake's whole empire upside down. One person on social media said it best. The crowd wasn't just quiet. They were singing along and begging for encores. In a stadium Drake himself never even stepped foot on for a solo show. Another fan described the scene as a stadium full of Torontonians screaming a diss track, and just spelled it out. C-R-A-Z-Y. This wasn't just a show anymore. This was a live cultural shift happening in real time. But check this, the build-up to this moment, it was planned like a mastermind running the cleanest heist you've ever seen. Kendrick's performance of Not Like Us during the Super Bowl 59 halftime show on February 9th, 2025, had already launched that track into another stratosphere. It wasn't just a diss song anymore. It was a global anthem. The song turned into a whole movement. It was no longer just about beef. It was about making a statement that echoed across the globe, no matter what side of the rap game you were on. And the real genius of Kendrick's Toronto play? It wasn't just the boldness. It was the strategy. From the venue, to the timing, to the psychological warfare, he knew exactly what he was doing. Kendrick didn't just pull up in Drake's city, he chose the one spot that symbolized everything Drake hadn't conquered. That was shade with precision. He didn't just rap Not Like Us, he had thousands of Drake's own fans shouting it back like they were at Sunday service. The energy was wild, the symbolism was powerful, and the message, clear as day. Security was thick, with heavy police presence all around the Rogers Center, clearly expecting drama. But the crowd stayed peaceful, even while witnessing one of the most savage moments in modern rap history. So if everything stayed chill in Toronto, where did that wild fight footage come from? Here's the twist. Fans were right about one thing. The people throwing hands were tied to Drake. But they weren't scrapping with Kendrick's crew like everyone assumed. The real story. Way more unexpected. Let's rewind to June 30th, 2024, at the Ignite Music Festival in Vancouver. That's where the streets jumped in and hip-hop fans witnessed something straight out of a gritty rap drama. Rick Ross, the Rick Ross got ambushed by some folks linked to Drake's circle after he dared to play Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us during his set. This wasn't no random drunken scuffle in the crowd. Nah, this was orchestrated, a direct hit that showed how far some people are willing to go to defend Drake's name. That loyalty runs deep in Canada, and this moment proved it. Ross got caught up for backing Kendrick, and the fallout was explosive. Now here's the breakdown. Rick Ross isn't new to this. He's a battle-tested veteran who's seen every kind of beef from label battles to street-level drama. But even with all that experience, choosing sides in the Drake-Kendrick battle came with real consequences. On April 13th, 2024, Ross dropped Champagne Moments, a diss track where he accused Drake of getting cosmetic work done and questioned his authenticity in the culture. That was his direct clapback to Drake's shots on push-ups. But Ross didn't stop there. He turned up the heat big time. In one of the boldest moves in recent rap memory, Ross ended his Vancouver show by blasting Not Like Us through the speakers, in full. That track alone had already caused a cultural quake, and Ross playing it loud in Canada, that was seen as crossing a major line, and that's when things popped off.
Here to watch Kendrick Lamar?
No,
Okay.
absolutely no. We just
Why?
came to see like Drake's fan over here. Yeah.
OVO forever.
Drake's affiliates weren't just mad, they were activated. Just think about this for a sec. Ross was in Canada, deep in Drake territory, rocking a stage in front of a crowd that probably had mad love for the hometown hero. And what does he do? He ends his set by blasting the most savage Drake diss ever made, Not Like Us. That's like strolling into someone's hood and putting their family on blast over a megaphone. Disrespect on max volume. The video says it all. Ross gets punched square in the face, and then chaos breaks out. A full-on brawl jumps off between Ross's crew and some festival heads. But let's keep it real. This wasn't some random scrap. Social media lit up, and one user even caught the spark moment. Someone shouted, "Turn that off! Wanna bang out?" Right as the song played. That right there, it wasn't just about music. It was about respect, territory, and pride. This was loyalty turning into street-level battle. Folks didn't just feel disrespected, they acted on it. But here's where Ross showed why he's still a boss in this game. Instead of fanning the flames or whining about the attack, he played it smooth. Told TMZ that nobody on his squad was seriously hurt and called Vancouver a beautiful city. Even said he was looking forward to coming back. That wasn't just a PR move. That was psychological warfare. Ross made it clear. The hit didn't faze him, and Drake's supporters didn't even rattle his chain. But he didn't stop there. In a later interview, Ross gave a full breakdown of what really went down that night and the way he told it. Calm, confident, no fear in his voice. He wasn't shaken, not even a little. Ross showed that even when fists fly, the mind games never stop. The level of disrespect Rick Ross served up after that brawl painted a clear picture. This man wasn't even remotely shaken. If anything, he looked entertained. The way he talked about his attackers, like they were a joke. Ross didn't flinch, didn't fold. He clowned them, like they were nothing but background noise. This wasn't just about fists flying. This was about mental dominance. Ross knew how to play the long game. He showed that even after being outnumbered and jumped, his boss energy stayed untouched. He held his ground, stayed calm, and flipped the whole narrative on its head. Real talk, Ross was trolling on genius level. He told the media he didn't even get punched, that he just got hit with a drink. That's wild. He basically said the so-called attackers were so weak, they couldn't even land a proper beatdown. That's not just brushing them off, that's straight up emasculating them. While they were throwing fists, he was playing chess, turning what looked like an L into a flex. But the Vancouver chaos, that was just the beginning of the real-world fallout from this beef. Because right after the incident, Drake stepped in, not to calm things down, but to gas it up. He hit like on an Instagram post about Ross getting jumped, and the caption even had a warning. Don't come to Canada if you've got issues with Drake. That move, loud and clear, Drake was co-signing the drama. And it didn't stop there. Drake posted Instagram stories, laughing it up and wishing everyone a happy Canada Day right after the brawl. Fans instantly took that as shade, like Drake was celebrating Ross getting handled on his turf. The timing wasn't accidental, it was calculated. Drake, one of the biggest names in music, looked like he was cheering on street justice from the sidelines. Social media blew up. People were split. Some hyped up the loyalty from Drake's fans, others pointed out the dark irony of a rap legend getting jumped just for playing a song. Either way, this was no longer just about lyrics. This was battle on multiple levels. In Canada, the story wasn't just about some punches thrown. It was about territory, loyalty, and how far people are willing to go to protect their musical icon. This wasn't just about hip-hop anymore. It was personal, it was tribal, and the lines were drawn in bold ink. Soon, other rappers jumped in, and it got even messier. 50 Cent took to social media and started cracking jokes about Ross's safety, throwing salt on the open wound. That added a whole new layer of disrespect to what was already a humiliating moment for Ross. It wasn't just fists, it was clout shots from every direction. The way the hip-hop world reacted showed just how split the culture had become. Rappers were picking sides like it was playoff season, and every diss, every post, every bar became a new shot in this ongoing battle. Nobody was staying neutral. Everybody had something to say. But maybe the most eye-opening part of the Vancouver drama? It showed how powerful music really is. Powerful enough to spark real-world action, good or bad. The attack on Ross didn't happen in a vacuum. It was a direct reaction to him siding with Kendrick and blasting Not Like Us in Drake's own backyard. That moment turned music into a trigger, into something people felt in their soul. This wasn't just about lyrics anymore. It was about identity, about pride, about defending something people saw as sacred. Drake's fans didn't just hear the song, they felt disrespected as a community. And it proved something major. Hip-hop loyalty runs deep. When an artist builds that tight bond with their fan base, when the music feels personal, like family, then the stakes are way bigger than awards or Billboard charts. It becomes a mission, a cause, a lifestyle. And in this case, it turned into real consequences in the streets. The chaos in Vancouver and Kendrick's straight-up invasion of Toronto were just the tip of the iceberg. What we were really witnessing wasn't just a rap beef, it was a massive shift in the culture, the streets, and the industry. This was deeper than diss tracks. This was a full-blown transformation of hip-hop's power structure. This wasn't just two artists trading bars. This was a battle over what's real and what's manufactured. It was a test of authenticity in a game that's been blurred by clout, filters, and streaming numbers. And social media? It threw gasoline on the fire. These platforms turned local tension into worldwide spectacle, something no one had seen at this level before. The ripple effects are still shaking up the industry. Artists, label heads, fans, even critics had to stop and think hard about some uncomfortable truths. Loyalty, the glorification of violence, real artistic value, and the weight of influence when your voice hits millions. One of the sharpest takes came from Wack 100. His breakdown of Kendrick's Grammy takeover was on point and hit every layer of the game. Industry politics, street validation, and cultural influence all tied into one. And Kendrick's Grammy sweep? That wasn't just a music win, that was a statement. Not Like Us didn't just win Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and 3 more major awards. It dominated. The message was clear, the industry was picking a side, and they were rolling with Kendrick. This wasn't just about who had the hottest song, it was about who had the power, who controlled the narrative, and who stood tall when the smoke cleared. The Grammys? That was the system tipping its hat saying, we see who's really running this now. The genius in Wack 100's take, he clocked something most people missed. Drake's lawsuits against Universal Music Group were backfiring harder than a busted engine on the freeway. Drake filed multiple legal hits on UMG, claiming they were inflating Kendrick's Not Like Us streams and slandering his name. But instead of protecting his image, these lawsuits made him look shaky, like he was scrambling to stop the bleeding. What was supposed to be damage control just amplified Kendrick's wins. The more Drake pushed, the more it felt like he was fighting ghosts and losing. In the streets, that kind of energy reads desperate, and folks were starting to clown him for it. Behind the scenes, the label politics were getting exposed like never before. Universal Music Group, who actually reps both artists, was clearly picking a favorite, and it wasn't subtle. With every move, they were putting more shine on Kendrick and limiting Drake's drops. That wasn't just business. That was a message. The golden child seat. Kendrick had it. Wack 100 pointed to a key moment, a high five between Dr. Dre and a UMG exec. Sounds simple, but the symbolism was heavy. That wasn't just two people dapping up. That was the OGs of the game, West Coast royalty, showing loud and clear who they were standing behind. It was like Dre saying, we built this, and Kendrick's the one carrying it forward. Meanwhile, Drake's legal moves started looking like a tantrum from someone who couldn't take a loss in stride. The psychological warfare? Next level. Every time Drake fired a shot or tried to defend his crown, it got flipped and used to boost Kendrick even more. It was like watching someone trapped in quicksand. The more Drake struggled, the deeper he sank. And Kendrick, he barely had to lift a finger. The streets, the fans, the industry, they were already doing the work for him. That prediction turned out to be more accurate than GPS in midtown traffic. Kendrick's momentum didn't just hold steady, it went full throttle, like a runaway freight train with no brakes in sight. Every tour announcement, every Grammy win, that Super Bowl halftime moment, each one stacked on top of the last, creating a snowball of cultural dominance that just kept getting bigger and louder. But maybe the most mind-blowing part of this whole saga, how it exposed the different ways artists handle pressure when the streets start watching close. DJ Akademiks, who'd been locked into this beef from day one with major skin in the game, came through with some eye-opening insight on Kendrick's approach. And when Kendrick name-dropped Akademiks on his diss track 616 in LA, That wasn't random, it was psychological surgery. Kendrick played the long game, using just a few slick words to shake one of Drake's loudest supporters without even raising his voice. He didn't scream. He didn't insult. He observed. He simply pointed out that Academics was looking compromised because of his heavy bias for Drake. And boom! Just like that, the internet never looked at Academics the same again. It wasn't just a jab, it was a checkmate move. Kendrick basically turned one of Drake's loudest media voices into a liability. Every time Academics tried to hype Drake or throw shade at Kendrick after that. Fans swarmed the comments with one word: compromised. That one line turned Academics' commentary into background noise. Untrustworthy, biased, and clowned on repeat. It was strategic warfare at its finest. Like a street surgeon with a rusty blade but flawless form. Messy but precise. Kendrick didn't need to clap back loud. He silenced his opponent's allies just by shifting the public's perception. Real talk, that move was so smooth, military tacticians could have studied it. Kendrick didn't just win battles, he took control of the narrative. Kendrick wasn't just going toe-to-toe with Drake. He was tearing down Drake's entire empire, brick by brick. One by one, he started cutting off Drake's key allies, leaving him more and more isolated from the same people and platforms that once built him up. This wasn't just lyrical smoke. This was full-on warfare, carried out with the precision of a military strategist and the cutthroat energy of street politics. Even DJ Academics, who used to doubt whether Kendrick could ever match Drake's chart game or online influence, had to admit Kendrick's strategy was devastatingly effective. He wasn't just spitting bars, he was flipping the entire system on its head. This wasn't about who had the better beats or catchier hook. This was about knowing how to control the narrative, how to shift perception, and how to move like a chess master in a game full of pawns. Kendrick played smart, and the industry watched him take control. And it didn't stop with just Drake and Kendrick. This clash pulled everybody into the fire. The hip-hop world got divided fast. Some rocked with Drake, Birdman, 50 Cent. They stood tall behind him. On the flip side, Metro Boomin, Kanye West, Rick Ross, all riding with Kendrick. J. Cole tried to play the middle, but after getting caught in the heat, he apologized and backed off. Ice Cube and Stevie Wonder even stepped in, saying the whole beef was getting too wild and pulling attention from real issues. What we've seen this past year wasn't just some back and forth between two big names. This was a blueprint, a masterclass in strategic thinking, cultural control, and lyrical precision. This battle is going to be studied by hip-hop heads for years to come, and if Whack 100's prediction holds up, this saga ain't over yet. The battle's still cooking, and the streets, they're still watching. If you've been locked in with us, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with your crew. Don't miss what's coming next, and we'll see you in the next one.